background. I'm an engineer. Lots of years in IT across multiple countries. But in the last 2 years, I've been doing more chemical and mechanical engineering. Um, and I've actually been running a 2-year research on pyrolysis, all self-funded in my own space. I live in a town called Keno. Keno is in Murang'a County. So I began it just like a part-time project on a weekend. And, my first product was very messy. Just got some very heavy wax, but it was very flammable. And, I saw an opportunity, and I did more research. But in the last 6 months, uh, I've actually successfully came up with a usable product. What you're seeing here is petrol, and this is diesel. So diesel is something that we just perfected 2 weeks ago. Um, and let me talk a little bit about this process. So in the chemistry world, it's referred to as pyrolysis. Pyrolysis is a Greek word, and in very simple terms, pyrolysis is the thermal degradation or breakdown of waste plastic at very elevated temperatures in the absence of oxygen. The opposite of pyrolysis is incineration. So incineration is burning waste materials at very high temperatures, but with oxygen. So pyrolysis is the opposite. And in everyday life, pyrolysis is applied in different forms. People who make charcoal, that's actually pyrolysis. You know? So there are different forms of pyrolysis. But using waste plastic is the most interesting. And not many people have managed to crack it. I have friends in Nigeria who've tried this over and over again. And the end product they always come up with is wax. I've interacted with people in Meru as well. They've tried it. I've gotten very few people who've actually perfected the process. In Kenya, I only know of 2 companies that are doing this, but the product they are getting is the raw pyrolysis oil. So in the raw form, getting pyrolysis oil is very easy. The pyrolysis oil is what you can make use of in a furnace, in a boiler. It's not rocket science to produce pyrolysis oil. Where it becomes challenging is to make pyrolysis oil a usable product. What you're getting is crude oil. Now you want to refine that crude oil and get something that is usable. That is a bit of rocket science. And let me tell you, it's taken me a whole year. Read so much, so many research papers, spent time on YouTube, but there was no straight answer on how to do it. It was a lot of research, almost burning myself in some instances, but eventually we were able to perfect the product. Now, what we've done, and whether what our research has yielded, is not all raw materials will give you the right output. So to get pyrolysis oil, you can use any kind of plastic except PET and this is PET, except PET and PVC. You don't want to burn PVC anywhere. PVC has very toxic chemicals. You don't want that going to the environment. So
there's a chlorine.
Yeah, you don't want to touch PVC. So any form of plastic will actually give you pyrolysis oil, and that's what our colleague in
Like this bottle top. Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
top. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so any form of plastic except this and PVC will give you pyrolysis oil, which is what you can use in a furnace oil or in a boiler. But getting gasoline, it's not all form of plastic that will give you. So what I did is I invested in a petrol machine. So I have an array of almost 8 machines in my workshop, and we'll produce and I'll put across all the machines, and I'll see how the machines will behave. And at the end of it all, we're able to isolate those plastics that have polymers that are usable as gasoline. And then lastly, as I've said 2 weeks ago, we're able to identify those polymers that will give you diesel. All plastic behave differently, and you're all in that industry. So the chemical composition of plastic is very unique and it's very different. But the beauty is that with a bit of science, you're able to isolate and get the right product. So in terms of where we are right now, think we are in that position where we want to scale, registering a new entity. I know we are currently known as just recyclers with, with this association, but we now want to rebrand ourselves into Pro Green Energy. I've been in conversations with KEBS. Had a very interesting conversation. KEBS told me, James, we don't have any standard to measure what you've done here. I mean, we only know of biofuel, but what you've made here, we don't have any standard. I went to IPRA, spent time with the renewable team there, asked for a proposal. They haven't responded. I have another meeting today afternoon. And these are areas Bernard will be looking for support and pushing. Again, they told me, James, we've not heard of what you're talking about. We've had the mention of the word pyrolysis, but nobody has managed to perfect it. Now, it's good I clarify that the focus market I have is not actually not vehicles, and I'll explain that a little bit. It's a very niche area, and I think there's an opportunity for low combustion machines. So what I mean by low combustion machines, I'm talking about a generator. In my house, I have 2 generators. I don't use any fuel. I don't buy any fuel for them. Lawnmower, I have a lawnmower. I use my own fuel as well. I'm talking about a grass cutter. So if you see the city council people cutting grass all over, these are all machines I've tested. I'm talking about the spray painter machine. So go to a garage. See that machine that they use to paint? It's called compressor. Yeah. I'm also talking about a water pump. If you go to the farms and in the villages, when there's no rain, you find these farmers with all these small petrol machines. They'll put a pump and connect it to the river. So I'm happy to report that in the last 6 months, I've actually had almost 20 field visits in Humo, at the garages, in Thika. I've gone to Nyeri, just meeting different kind of people. And they will volunteer and say, hey, let's try this fuel. And it worked very well. Power saw as well for the loggers. And this was our observation. And let me be specific and say that what we were testing was gasoline, not this. This I've still not hit the road yet with regard to testing it. But we had some very interesting observations. One, compared to super fuel, it was actually able to last longer. And most of the colleagues told me, James, I think what you've made here is regular. This reminds me of the old regular fuel because it's lasting longer. And KEBS, the report they gave me, actually the flash point was just a little bit lower compared to super, which means that for those kind of machines, the fuel will actually last longer. And right now, even though it's not on commercial sale, I have a few users or so guys, no wale watu wa kijiji, they cannot go to a petrol station. They will rush to me every morning. Kuna mafuta. I ask them, why do you want to use this? Because it's value for money for me. It's going to last longer and it's cheaper. Also, it encourages me. So in terms of next steps, I think there is a good opportunity for us once I move into a stage of scaling, for us to engage. There's a lot of waste plastic out there, waste material. Sometimes you don't know where to take it, but I think there's an opportunity for us to absorb more waste in terms of getting it recycled. The other good thing is that out of this process, beyond getting the fuel, there's also an opportunity to do other things. You can do briquettes, because you get some very nice refined black char. With a bit of time, it's possible to advance that into another usable product. I mean, that's an area of investigation that I'm here to do for another day. But for now, our focus is gasoline, what you're seeing here. And I'm hoping that we will cooperate with our organization and with you members as well to hopefully take us to a next level. So this is an innovation. It's unique. It will put us in the world map as well, I believe. A lot of you have called me and say, James, we want to visit your factory. And I've said we'll do that at the right time. But I believe it's an opportunity for us to prosper, to grow together, and also create a win-win situation for all of us. Is that true?
Yes.
And also at the right time, get funding. But as I've said, for now, I've been very shy to get any funding. I said I'll do this myself. I'll pump my own money. And there's a reason to that. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of, let me say there's a lot of pain to research. You really burn your hands. But when you get somebody's money, he will not appreciate why you're burning his money. Yeah. So that's the thing I've learned with the research. But I believe with time, I'll get support and maybe some kind of funding because it's a very, very intensive process. Just to get the machine up and running by itself, that took almost $1,000,000 shillings. Chuma is very expensive. We all know that. But all the materials were locally sourced. Richard has been very helpful as well. I've gotten a few things from him. Kalubangi, Uko Chuma is very expensive in this country. Engineering is also very expensive. Getting good engineers, I mean, guys, it's a rare thing. So what I've learned with time is if you want to innovate, before we tell the fundi and tell him what to do, you need to be crystal clear in terms of what you want. So I'll do my own designs, I'll draw it just like an architect, and I'll tell him, this is what I want us to do. But if you rush to just tell him, do whatever you want, it will be a case of garbage in, garbage out. Right? So you really need to understand your game and get to the skin of it. Or else you'll just be burning money, just burning, burning, burning. But at the end of it all, I believe it's rewarding. I don't think I want to spend any more time in terms of where you can find us. Right now, we're on TikTok. TikTok, you can look for Pro Green Solutions. You see all our videos there, all our case studies, all our field work, Pro Green Solutions. That's where we are right now. In YouTube, you can just look for James Muritu. So our social media is still not yet fully established, but in the next couple of weeks, you'll be hearing more of us across all the channels. Mobile 0700 182 377. Thank you.
One question, Mr. James.
Yes, sir.
In which nature do you buy this raw waste? Because you've just said that you can use any other polythene product apart from PT and PVC. So it means HD, LD, PP, whatever. In which nature do you?
It comes raw. Let me talk in very layman's language. Not everybody understands the PP and the PT. So for gasoline, it's the vibuyus. You know that yellow vibuyu?
Containers.
The containers. Ile petrol station. You know that pale wanaweka ile oil. Zile viti za kanisa. You see that chair?
Injection.
It's the water tank. Ile black. What else? There's another. So these are what is on ngumu.
Crashed or
No, for now I just take it as it is.
you crash yourself?
We can talk about that. The problem of somebody crashing for me, the price tends to
Go
be
up.
higher.
So you take it in raw form.
I prefer to take it raw form.
How about film?
Film?
The price.
Film, the polythenes,
No.
only containers.
Yeah.
What about the price? Hiyo ni
And the
blow
prices?
material. That
Tunaweza
is
ongea
blow
hiyo.
material.
Tunaweza ongea hiyo.
Okay.
For
That is
diesel,
enough. That's just it.
In the farmer.
yeah. For diesel, the research that is there, and if you look at what's happening in India and China, it's a lot of tires. They talk about tires. My experiment with tires didn't go well. What I got was something unusable because pyrolysis oil, but unfortunately, I don't know what type of tires we have in Kenya. But interestingly, I gave a trial to gunia sacks. Ile gunia ya simiti.
Yes.
Ile gunia ya simiti. Ile gunia ya farm feed. Pia ile gunia ya waste shopping. That ile ya kwenda shopping, the very colored one.
The gunny bags.
The gunning bags. So that worked very well, and that we discovered by accident. For the first time we produce something, it's very clean. Tunaweka kwa mashini zetu, hakuna mashini ina run. I give a customer ananiambia, James, hii mashini ilinyamaza bana halfway. And I went back with my team and asked, kuna kitu hatufanyi right. So after more research, I noticed inatoa povu. And anything that have foam is confirmation of diesel. So I have a diesel engine. Actually, it's a Davis and Shatliff, very high capacity diesel machine. And it ran for a whole hour, non-stop. I have a diesel car. It's an old Land Cruiser, and I said, I'm going to put this in the firing line. I emptied all the diesel na nikaweka yangu. And the thing fired. And I even moved with it. I was like, this is diesel. So we want to advance this further and test more with diesel machines. But I think sacks, hizo nimewambia hizo gunia. The polymers that come from Gannibals actually seem to be giving diesel.
James, I've seen in developed countries
Yeah.
that people are doing pyrolysis. The solution to this mix lives in very dirty plastic waste in huge scales. These ones that are being dumped into the ocean.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you, through your research, you found stuff like that. Do you see yourself being the solution to the redemption in the land eventually?
I hope so. I mean, I hope so, and that's the future. Because for you to break even in this business, you need to do volumes.
What are your volumes?
I mean, for now, it's still on research mode. So I mean, what I've been doing is less than 100 per day, because I just want a small sample. But what I'm building actually for the next phase is a capacity of at least 2,000 per day, 2,000 liters per day. That's the projection I'm currently working on. So at least you can have 1,000 petrol, 1,000 liters petrol and 1,000 liters. That's the current short-term projection. But I mean, you can move up to 10,000 liters a day.
With the same machine.
No, there's something referred to as a reactor. That's where the investment comes. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Asante sana.